we like to show a seller different price points, low, medium, and high. We have our established goal of what we're trying to get for them, and that's usually the midpoint. And we have a lower one for unforeseen circumstances and a higher one if we get, a good bidding situation going. And then from there, we extrapolate all of the cost of sale.
Welcome to the Mortgages Made Easy podcast. We're joined by MJ Agostini. Our topic today is Home Seller 101. We're going to try to provide in the next 10 or 15 minutes everything you need to know to be prepared. This may be the first time you've ever sold a home, or you might have sold a home 10 years ago, but the world has changed in the 10 years, and we're going to try to set you up for what you need to know. So let's start with the why. What's really driving this move?
Thank you, Dave. Always a pleasure to be back and doing the podcast with you. So, on the seller's side, what prompts sellers? Well, what prompts people to move in the first place? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Death, unfortunately, is a big reason. Divorce. You have growing families. You have shrinking families. You have relocation. You have health reasons that you may have to relocate out of the area. So there's a variety of reasons why people do sell their homes. And with the population aging, there is a lot of estate sales going on. People's parents are passing, so there is a lot of property that's coming on the market. So there's a variety of reasons why people are selling houses today.
Hmm. And some of that will then drive the timing, because the first thing you need to know is whether you have a fire sale and you got to move right away. I, I just got a call from somebody who was trying to rescue a home out of foreclosure.
Mhm.
That's a very different story than somebody who has lots and lots of time.
Oh, absolutely. The reason why you're moving and the methodology that we use, and again, we're going to craft a plan for our sellers to get them from point A to point B. So from time of discussion to closing time, there's a lot of work to do, and you have to have accurate and an accurate roadmap, yet plan for contingencies.
So let's get down to the nitty-gritty up front. Why do I need a realtor? I could just sell it myself. I could put a sign on my lawn and sell it myself. What does a realtor get for me?
Well, selling your house, it is one of the largest assets that you have, and pricing it properly is one of the most vital aspects of selling your house. As we all know, pricing is the key to a successful sale. And you may, as a seller, you may just be looking online, you may be looking at comparable sales that for your home. But if you're not in the thick of it like we are, if you don't have boots on the ground and you don't feel the vibe of what's going on between sellers and buyers in the marketplace, you're going to be at quite a disadvantage because you're going to be basing your pricing on historical sales when
Well,
current.
what your neighbor next door sold. My house is so much better than my
Exactly.
neighbor's house, and they sold for
Exactly.
500. I should get at least 550.
Right. And those are historic sales. They happened 3, 4 months ago, 6 months ago. You need a picture of what's happening right now, right here and now. And the agent is the best one to give you that description because they are boots on the ground. They watch the hot sheets. They know what the sales are what the houses are selling for and how many days they're on the market. They've seen them. They know the characteristics. So
Hmm.
having an agent by your side to properly price obviously is number one. Number two, preparing the house. There goes into a lot that goes into preparing the house. You can't just go on and look at YouTube videos and think, okay, I'm going to get my house prepared, because you may see things that look and seem appropriate to do, but may not really achieve the goal that you're trying to get, which is trying to maximize the price of your home with the least amount of hassle. And the agent can give you a clear picture of, yes, you need to mulch your front yard. No, you don't need to mulch the backyard. Yes, you need to paint all the interior rooms. No, you don't have to paint the trim. The natural trim is fine. Things like that. Because I go into a lot of homes and the sellers are saying, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I've said, look, you can do this, this, and this, but that's not going to get you the big number. What's going to get you the big number is this, this, and this. And, a lot of times they're happy because they don't have to do as much as they think. And then they're surprised because these are things that they didn't even think about.
Mm. And at the end of the day, I, I don't know many people who would try to take out their own appendix.
It,
And and,
it
and
is.
you need a professional to help you along the way. So let's go to the dirty word. I'm going to ask you a dirty word, commission. You get paid for this?
Well, Dave, it'd be nice to be able to do things for free, but then we can't eat and we can't pay our mortgage and we can't cut our grass, things like that. So, in the real estate world, we talk about our marketing compensation. And we are hired by the seller and buyers to perform a service. And you're not only are you paying us to perform this service, but you're paying for our knowledge, our years of experience, our ability to get vendors and retailers that we may need in the transaction. And you're paying for us to shepherd your home sale from A to B or A to Z, and without incident, without drama, without falling apart, without costing you more money than it's necessary. And for that, that's how we get compensated. We get paid a service fee. In today's world, as a seller, you only have to negotiate your listing agent's fee. And you have to think the agent will give you some scenarios where a buyer's agent fee may come into play, but you only have to worry about paying upfront when you're going to sell your house. You're only paying for your listing agent and all of the services that they're going to provide, plus their experience and plus their longevity. I have almost 40 years in real estate, 40 full-time years of selling people's homes, and I've sold over 2,100 homes. So,
What I like to tell people is that at the end of the day, I would rather pay MJ 3% and get $600,000 on my house than go it alone and get 500,000.
yeah.
And so, at the end of the day, and I say it in my own business as well, what you really care about is the result. Do you get a better result with hiring somebody like MJ, or do you get a better result doing it yourself? And I'd say 99 times out of 100, having a realtor is really key. MJ, let's talk about pricing the home. And I'm going to start with a simple question. If two realtors, I'm interviewing two realtors, and one tells me to list if they want to list my house at 500, and the other one says they want to list my house at 550, I'd have to be an idiot to go with the realtor who wants to list at 500, or maybe not.
Well, not necessarily, Dave. I think you have to ask the agent what their strategy is. And start with the end in mind. If the house is valued, we all believe that the house is valued at 550, what's the best way to achieve that 550? In the old days, we would price high and a buyer would come in low and you'd negotiate. In today's market, you price low, you get lots of bidders, and you bid that price up. So it's very likely that if 550 is the everyone feels 550 is the value. You want to pick the strategy that's most likely going to get you that 550.
And just to be clear, if five, as you said, somebody who sold their first house 10 years ago, and they listed it high and it went for less than asking. In our current technological world, buyers are looking at homes online, and they're rejecting a lot of homes out of because they're saying, I don't think this is a $550,000 house. And then what happens is that you start chipping away at the price and chipping away at the price. And so often someone who priced it a little bit high now is going to be forced to go down once, twice. And now you have a pricing history where the price is being lowered and the vultures circle.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, from the very beginning, price is the most critical point of selling your property, and having a strategy to get to the value that you and your realtor believe is the value for the property is paramount. And the 550, the house may be worth 550, but you may in the strategy today is you may have to list low in order to get it. If you started at 550, buyers are going to think that you think it's worth 600. So if they think that, they're not even going to come and take a look. And you're going to get lots of views online, and you may get some showings, but you're not going to get any offers.
Hmm. Okay. So then how do you go from the whatever the listing price is to how much money I walk away with?
So it's a pretty simple formula. We like to show a seller different price points, low, medium, and high. We have our established goal of what we're trying to get for them, and that's usually the midpoint. And we have a lower one for unforeseen circumstances, and a higher one if we get, a good bidding situation going. And then from there, we extrapolate all of the cost of sale between transfer taxes, realtors' fees, closing costs, uh, trans
Existing mortgage.
yes, existing mortgage, so that the seller has an idea of what their net profit is, when what they probably will walk away with. And again, that could be subject plus or minus a few points, but that's part of the roadmap that's the agent creates. Not only do they create a strategy to get you a pricing situation going, but they also show you at the end what you should be able to walk away from, because you may need that number to go on to the next property.
Hmm. So first impressions are so important. How do you set that up? So you're listing a home. What's the first thing you do after you've listed the home?
If the house requires a staging consultation, then we send our stagers in to prep it, because we've talked to the seller, we've given them their roadmap, and unless their house, is set and ready to go because they have the talent already to have done that, we send our stagers in to do some briefing. Some people need more than others. Some people just need a few things put in. Some people need a whole retrofit. And once we get that established and we get the house prepped and ready to go, then we send our photographers in for a whole photo shoot.
What I know from talking to my buyers is that it's very important for them to be able to visualize themselves in the house. And so it's critical as you do that, you look at, oh, do you really need that big portrait of grandpa in the front hall? Or are you better off with just some generic piece because we don't want to turn people off? Here's a technical question for you. Should I get a pre-listing inspection if I'm going to list my home?
That's a very good question. And the answer is it really depends. We encourage homeowners who've been in their house at least 20 years or longer to do a pre-inspection. The upside to that is you avert tragedy before it happens. You're able to make repairs on your own timetable with your own vendors without the pressure of a real estate transaction, and you don't scare the buyers away because there's sometimes you can't come back from that. We had a house with that they discovered infestation of mice. Had no idea. I mean, this house was neat as a pin, couldn't be cleaner. When they did the home inspection, they found infestation of mice in the attic. They've never left the attic, but they were all over the attic, and our deal fell apart. If they had done a pre-inspection, that would have presented itself and we could have rectified that, and we wouldn't have had the same outcome. So
Hmm.
if you've been in your house a long time, uh, and if you have more sophisticated systems like wells and septics, again, we encourage people to do all that ahead of time. What's the downside of that? The downside of that is A, you have to fix things. B, or you have to disclose things to the buyer. And it doesn't guarantee that your buyer's not going to do a home inspection, but I believe and I can prove that buyers that see a pre-inspection are bidding higher, bidding stronger, they're feeling more comfortable, there's less anxiety for them, and it just comes out to be a better transaction.
And then it makes it smoother and faster.
Yeah.
Marketing. So I know you wear a lot of hats, but one of them is how do you present the house to the public so it brings the most eyeballs, the uh, most people walking through the door?
Well, marketing, is tailored to that specific property. So if you have a historic house, you have to bring in a lot of historic resources and be able to market to people, your target audience. And that's one of the things that we develop when we're developing our strategy to sell. We want to know who's our target. Is it a family of four? Is it a single person? Is it an artist? Is it a musician? Is it a farmer? Is it a city boy? Um, our audience dictates our perceived audience is how we will dictate the marketing. And we craft that marketing so that we try to pull in those buyers, attract those buyers with keywords, hashtags, naming groups, all on social media, because that's where we find most of our buyers are going to be on the internet. We have to write descriptively about the house. And again, if we're targeting if it's a historic home and we're targeting a certain type of segment, we're adding a lot of features that a historic home buyer would want to know about.
Hmm, okay. So we've spoken about this in the past, but let's talk about the A team. If you're going to sell your home, who do you need on board to make sure that the transaction runs smoothly?
Well, there's a lot
Besides
of
a great realtor, or besides having MJ in your corner as being a great realtor, but who else needs to be on that team?
Well, we tell our sellers, we never leave your side. I was talking to you earlier, we had a client who needed a lot of hand holding and we had a difficult sale and it required a lot of moving parts and a lot of cooperation from a lot of different people and a lot of promises that, we had to put out there in order to get performance. But your realtor has the resources. We have the estate sale people, we have the movers, we have the landscapers, we have the cleaning people. we have all those preparatory vendors to get you set up properly. And then once your listing is underway, we have the specific vendors if you need them, plumbers, electricians, the attorneys that we're going to use, insurance if you're buying a new property, the any type of repair people, anything that you need during the transaction, we can call in at a last minute's notice. And then of course, closing, you've got attorneys or title companies making sure that that's all buttoned up and that you've got movers getting you out the door and onto your next venue. So yes, there's a whole host of extra people besides me and the girls that work for me that will take you from A to Z, and then you can ride off into the sunset.
So things have worked perfectly. You staged the house to a T, you priced it exactly right, and now the offers come in. What happens next?
Well, again, this isn't your grandfather's real estate business anymore. We provide extensive spreadsheets, and your agent with a multiple offer situation, it's very it's very intense, and we provide live spreadsheets to our clients so they can see when offers coming in. They see the pricing, they see all the characteristics. So every few hours, they can check at their spreadsheet to see what's happening, what the new offers have come in. Some people start to bid, revise their offers when they know there's multiple offers. So it's really a live moving document to get when we get all of the multiple offers. And you have to be laser sharp. You're almost like air traffic controller of real estate. I mean, that's probably how to explain it because you're looking at a sea of offers and agents and documents that you have to manage all at the same time, yet make sure that you don't lose one or you stay in touch with this one to make sure these people hang around and these you don't want these ones to take off. So it is being like you're in the control tower.
So I'm just going to jump in and talk about one thing where I get involved in, and you and I have again have discussed this, but sometimes a seller gets an offer and the uh, pre-approval is from the Third National Bank of Podunk. And it's a bank that no one's ever heard of before. Or frankly, it may be an internet lender. And what you and I both know is that sometimes pre-approvals from internet lenders are not worth the ether space they're written on.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that we do for your sellers, and we'd be happy to do for our audience, is we will go in and evaluate the strength of your buyer. And we'll give you our unbiased opinion at no cost to you, at no cost to the buyer, but as a service. We'll do a, we'll be happy to look at the strength of the offer and tell you whether, in my opinion, that person will in fact get a mortgage commitment or not. And it's service that I'm happy to put out there.
Yeah, and I just want to make note of that's critical because sometimes you get to the bottom and if everybody is somewhat equal and you're looking at, okay, who are they using for financing? That may make all the difference in the world. And if you've got somebody that you can trust and you can know that they've performed in the past versus somebody you've never heard of, and all things are equal, we're pushing them your way because we know you can make the deal happen.
Hmm. So this has been great. I really appreciate your really appreciate your taking the time to chat. Um, what I would say to you is whether if you're thinking about selling, whether you're selling in a month or a year, it's never too early to start by identifying a great realtor and reaching out, starting the conversation. A great realtor will understand if you say, look, I think I'm going to move in 6 months. I just wanted to say hello now. They're not going to bother you. They're not going to badger you. They're just going to start a conversation that might last 3 months, 6 months, a year. But sometimes, sometimes fortuity comes in, and you might plan on moving in 2 years. I know of a story where someone who I know very well uh, really wasn't planning on moving, and they had a casual conversation with a realtor who at who at the same time had heard from a buyer, and the buyer was willing to pay way, way over market for their particular home. And this was not really planned, but you know, sometimes the world smiles on you when things happen. And that's what happens when you have a great realtor, and it's what happens when you have a great team. So thank you, MJ, for joining in this conversation. Thank you all for listening. If you found it valuable, we'd love to hear your comments. We'd love to see your likes and subscribes and all that kind of thing. And thank you so, so much for joining with us today.